All right, can begin. So welcome everyone. Good morning, noon or evening, depending on where you are joining us from. I am Bushra Anjum and I am the General Co-Chair for ACM Women and also the host for this ACM Women Celebrating Technology Leaders series. In my day job, I'm the head of data at an educational tech startup called NoRed Inc. So this series is designed to demystify careers in tech industry, especially for women. So we discuss career options, career opportunities, and career challenges. In each episode, we invite women leaders who have successfully architected their careers in computing, and we celebrate their stories and we learn from their experiences. Today, we are focusing on the support network that ACM Women offers for working professionals, known as the Professionals Chapters, and we have put together a fantastic panel for you. Our panelists today are the members of the ACM-W Professional Chapters Committee. We will learn from them about this global growing community, the purpose and importance of professional chapters, and their experiences as chapter members. Also, we'll focus on their vision to take this initiative forward. At this time, I would also like to give a shout out to our webinar series volunteer, Taylor Yang, a computer science major from North Carolina State University. Her coordination efforts, including meeting with the panelists and gathering information, was key in putting together this panel and ensuring an engaging discussion. Before talking to our panelists, a few logistical reminders. I will be facilitating the discussion for the first 45 minutes, and some of these questions are taken from those submitted by you at the time of registration. The final 15 minutes are for live Q&A with our panelists. You can put forth your questions by typing them into the Q&A window and submitting. Feel free to write in and send your questions throughout the discussion. Thank you for spending the next hour with us, and we will make every effort to make it worth your time. So today we have with us Bettina Bair. She is the Professional Chapters Committee Chair. We have Laura Dillon, who is the Emeritus Professor at Michigan State University, and we have Esagul Hollis, Fellow of the Higher Education Academy in the UK. So let's hear about them from them. So a question for my panelists. So could you please share any insights from your educational background or career path, anything that uniquely shaped your journey and helped you become a leader at ACM Women Professional Chapters? Let's start with the chair, Bettina.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Everybody hear me? I asked that question because even though I have like 40 years of computer experience, we still have challenges setting things up that are as simple as a Zoom meeting that we've been doing for 5 years now. Anyhow, I'm delighted to be here, and I'd like to give you a little bit of my background. To give you an idea of how long 40 years of computer system experience is, my first computer was a mainframe about the size of probably your living room, which was a CDC 6400. And I used that to learn Fortran programming in 1978, which was my first year as an undergraduate at the University of Arizona. From there, while I was still taking classes, I followed technologies from the beginnings of my career as a programmer and up through the levels of management. And those technologies took me to aerospace engineering, criminal intelligence, missile systems development, and early telephony systems. And by early telephony systems, I mean like voicemail and cellular got developed while I was working at the phone company in Colorado. I got interested in a new technology called the internet in the mid-90s. And for a few years, I spent my time making websites for small businesses and also teaching business classes at small colleges and tech schools. Then there was the dot-com boom, and I leveraged my experience at that point to get a class teaching at a real university, the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. And for me, that was the culmination of all of my career hopes and dreams. I had the entrepreneurial experience of running my own classroom, Plus, I got regular paychecks and health insurance. So that was pretty cool. And until then, I've been in academia for the last 25 years or so. Um, since moving into academia, I discovered and have been benefiting from the ACM. Initially, I was a member of the ACM Special Interest Group for Computer Science Education and learned about ACM-W from conferences at SIGSEED. And even during the years when I faced rejection, hostility, harassment in my job, ACMW was always there to support me. So in the year 2005, I founded the first Ohio celebration of women in computing with support from ACMW. That's a regional event that's having its 20th year celebration next week. And think I'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I was able to start a professional chapter in Central Ohio. I was able to start a student chapter in Central Ohio. I've been honored to serve on the executive committee in a variety of roles. Most recently, I was communications chair, and now I'm the professional chapters committee chair. Fun fact about me, despite the fact that I've been working in academia for 25 years and I've been constantly surrounded by faculty members, I never got a PhD. I'm the only member of this forum that you can't call doctor. That's me.
Well, you may not have a PhD yourself, but you are certainly helping a lot of people get through their PhD with your
Yeah.
guidance and support. Laura?
Say. Hello, everyone. I'm at Michigan State University. I'm actually retired from there. So I kind of wanted to give the audience a sense for how much chance and luck really uh, was part of my journey, right? It's not like I ever felt I really knew exactly where I was going. And my really luck started in high school. As I was going into high school, the summer of my high school year, my family was living in Detroit, and my dad, who was born and raised in Peru, his mother, who had been living in Peru, died, and his sister, his only sister, was left there. She was she was not well, and she was there all by herself. And so he was working on trying to get our family transferred to Peru. And so he asked if any of us kids wanted to go, we had 6 kids, and help his sister. And I volunteered. So at 14, my parents put me on an airplane from Detroit down to Peru to be with an aunt who I had never met and who only spoke Spanish, and my Spanish was rudimentary at most. So while I was there, I convinced, she was part of a school, and I started going to the same school with her, but it wasn't, I could tell it wasn't the same as the education I would have gotten in the US in my American school. And so I somehow managed to get her to take me to the American School of Lima in Peru. And I got myself an appointment with the principal, and I explained my situation. My family was at that point knew they were going to be transferred in another year, and he let me just join the school. Um, and with the promise that when my family transferred there, then they would, all my siblings would be enrolled there, and they would pay normal tuition. So I got into the school in Peru, and had just this wonderful, wonderful math teacher, and actually an excellent math teacher and science teacher who really challenged me and really convinced me that I was meant to be a mathematician at the time. And so, fast forward many years later, I'm plugging away at a degree in a PhD in mathematics at University of Michigan, and um, had been married and my marriage broke up after I was working maybe 2 years at that point on my degree. I loved mathematics. I love the theory. It was very beautiful, but I was kind of frustrated by the fact that it didn't seem to have any actual application. useful applications at the stuff I was studying. I was studying topology, a beautiful theory, and not clear what it ever gets used for. So I my marriage broke up, and so I took a year off from school to kind of rethink about, what particular direction I was going in. And while I was in Montana, there was right before classes were supposed to start, uh, the person who taught their programming courses died in a motorcycle accident 2 weeks before classes. And there I was. I had had 2 courses in computing, in programming at University of Michigan. And so, sure, I told them I could teach. I had taught, math before at University of Michigan, never computer science. I hadn't studied either. They were teaching COBOL. It was in the business school. So, I mean, they were teaching COBOL and BASIC, which I had never learned, but stayed a week ahead of the classes and discovered that I just really liked computing. It was really fun. And I could see that that was actually useful, right? It's very similar mathematics in many ways, but it was clear that it was useful. And so that's kind of what turned me into the direction of computing, right? So I came back, went to University of Massachusetts to get my PhD degree, had remarried there, and had a baby while I was going to school, and then was pregnant with my second one when I graduated, and managed to get my first job. And I'll leave it there because I know I'm over time. But I just kind of wanted to give, it's like it's not really like I knew what I wanted to do along the way. It just kind of happened to me, and you just kind of follow your nose, right?
Yes, and thank God for good teachers who guide and advise us when
Oh,
we are clueless of what needs to be done.
absolutely.
Ace?
Yes. Hi, everyone. In order to give you a bit of context about my origin, I need to tell you a short story. See, I was born and raised in the UK, but my parents decided to move to Cyprus. So I always wanted to study computing because I've been a gamer since I was 3 years old. I've been dealing with computers, those toddlers that used to take apart switchboards, just wondering what's going on, how to tinker. So I went to a university in Cyprus, and they said to me, I cannot study computing because I would be the only female. And because I'm a native speaker of English, I should study English language teaching. And at the time, I didn't want to cause trouble for my parents because they would have gotten the end of it. So I said, can I please take volunteer computer courses that are across the month, or, so I can be with other females for free, like from my own time. And they said, okay, but you have to stay in ELT, English language teaching. So fast forward, when I'm old enough, I've graduated, I ran back to the UK where I redid my master's, my MPhil in computing and HCI in human computer interaction. I went and did a PhD and a postdoc. You can tell that I'm rebelling, taking my revenge for all those years, going on to postdoc as well. And now I'm an assistant professor in computing in multiple fields. I have over 10 years experience in lecturing and researching in HE in both in Cyprus and the UK. And how does this tie into ACMW? Well, it's where I found my home, because here I serve as the professional committee and an investigative journalist. And I get to interview other chapters, travel the world. You'll see my picture. There's historical monuments. I've traveled them all. My passport is full of virtual stamps at the moment. While I was initially pushed into ELT, I have to say, probably my writing skills stem from it. So they say that everything is an experience in life, and you end up finding your way, just like all of our stories in the end. We all found our way, and we all found each other here at ACMW. And I myself I'm back in Cyprus, where I support others through ACMW, to empower them, the current generation, the future generation, even us, the past generation. We're here to support each other. That's it from me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Revenge PhD, I loved it. Loved the story.
Power.
Yes. Bettina, let me come back to you. So, of course, for our audience members as well, and then we get a lot of views on our YouTube channel as well. Could you please provide a brief introduction to professional chapters for someone who is not familiar with them at all?
Okay, so you say someone who's not familiar with professional chapters, I have a hard time believing such a person exists. But ACM has had professional chapters as a part of their portfolio of activities. ACMW is picking up from that and presenting ACM chapters with a view to supporting women in computing. So briefly, ACM-W professional chapters are a way to organize local communities of women in computing to support the recruitment and retention of all women in computing. In their careers, they host chapter meetings, they have events, they have activities. All of these are organized around the idea of highlighting innovations in technology and developing their professional networks. Today, there are 24 chapters globally. Ace, check me, is that true? 24 today? Okay.
Yes, yes, we have 24. Recently, we've established new chapters as well.
And those chapters are global, as I say. So there are chapters in North America, Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Africa. All of these chapters, all taking the ACMW idea and mission of connecting women and advocating for them in their careers in their own personal or unique ways. Some chapters are organizing regional celebrations for students and professionals to get together and discuss technological advances and to have meals and to give student chapters career assistance, to give each other professional networks. And an interesting thing about the ACMW professional chapters is how they can anchor and support other ACMW programs in a local area. So a professional chapter can maintain continuity of leadership for recurring celebration events. They can help orient new student chapter leaders and members as they evolve. They can maintain a knowledge base of processes and best practices for our region. They can facilitate introduction between members of different institutions, different membership institutions, and they can support professional networking for newly graduated early career women. So back to you, Bushra.
Thank you for that introduction. That's great. And I'll have a follow-up question for you on how to start a chapter. But professional chapters, of course, there are multiple ways in which it can support women who are working in the industry, as Bettina was saying. Laura, a question for you, since, again, going back to the theme that there were some teachers and good mentors in your life that kind of guided you in your journey. So what has been your experience when you transitioned yourself into a mentorship role? Laura, you're muted. That's okay. We still do, all of us do that.
Sorry, I had coughing issues, and so I muted myself and completely forgot. So, yeah, I mean, so mentors mentors are why I'm here. I never would have made it to this spot without significant mentorship from, my advisors, but when I was a graduate student, but even other women that I've met along the way, partly through ACMW and through NCWIT, National Center for Women in Information Technology, and the Center for Inclusive Computing, and conferences that I've gone to. But I guess you were asking about when I took on a mentoring role, that was basically what kept me. I mean, I had been the chair of the department for a while, and during that time, I kind of, I just didn't have time to stay up with my research. And so when I stepped down as chair, I was kind of in a situation where, well, I had missed a good 4 years of research and, was kind of wondering what I wanted to I was getting close to retirement. I didn't really want to I didn't want to have to get caught up in a whole ton of research, and I was going to where am I going to fit in at this point? And my I went to a conference that was put on by NC Wit, one of their summits, and it's then where I realized that what the role for me going forward, I felt was really as a mentor rather than going back into research. And so, I mean, that had been the part of my job that I just really, really had loved, was working with students, especially undergraduate students. And so it was really that opportunity to continue mentoring students. We started our Michigan Celebration of Women in Computing conferences. That brought me a lot of satisfaction, finding out, from students how it had benefited them, seeing them come back and contribute to the conferences themselves. And we started coding clubs, and I had that opportunity to work with the students is really what kept me going. After that time, when I had kind of quit on research and still had a few years, another 5 years to go before I could retire. And now in retirement, I spend most of my time continuing to work on the outreach to students and mentoring them. But it's just it was the thing that kind of motivated me after that period of my life, when I had stopped doing research, had stopped doing the administration for our department, and could really feel like I was giving back and having an effect on people's lives.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, giving back and having an effect on people's life, that's the motivational factor for many of us to join ACM Women and volunteer for them. Ace, you had a really interesting phrase in your introduction, investigative journalist. I was like, ooh, what's going on there? So could you tell us more about this role and any recent work that you did with ACM Women Professional Chapters?
I would happily and proudly tell about this. So I will place a link in the chat before I give the context. If you haven't received the ACMW newsletter, I'm going to send a link now where you can subscribe to our mailing list. And below is my spotlight on the Kiel chapter this month. I'm just going to give context. We have the Cyprus chapter. So we'll be visiting, join me on my journey around the globe. So from my recent work, as I've said, I've interviewed the Kiel and Cyprus chapter, and I've been deeply moved by how these chapters are making tangible differences in women's lives in computing. I think what resonated with me the most and the audience feedback from the Kiel chapter is the personal stories and the transformation, community building in these chapters. For example, in this spotlight, for this month in Cyprus, Dr. Antongi shared that she, like me, was from a different background. She was into humanities, and then she became a leader in human-computer interaction. And this was through, an ACMW support. And they actually ended up doing a celebration workshop, and it had over 100 attendees, and they created pathways for other women as well who wanted to get into computing, but was forced into other degrees. There's a common theme going around here, we can see. However, in Kiel, I was particularly struck by Pamela and Annika, the chapter leaders' response to international challenges, because what happened was they were proposed to lower their female ratio from 30% to 12% on the basis that the department would get too feminine. So in response to this, they made a women's talk marathon, and the slogan was a place where women cannot be silenced. They had 49 speeches. It crossed over 20 hours, and it was such a powerful platform that they're rerunning it again this year. So if you're in the Kiel area, feel free to join. And the thing about both chapters and the whole of ACMW is that we're creating safe, supportive spaces where women can thrive as well. So to sum up, as an investigative journalist, these stories actually do remind me, why ACMW Professional Chapters matters. It's not just about statistics, programs, but it's about real people finding their place in computing and helping others do the same. And I want to end this speech with a quote from Pamela Thousands of kilometers may separate us, but we stand together, breaking barriers for women in computing. And you can read the rest in the spotlight as well. I'll just send it through the chat. Over to you, Bushra.
Thank you so much, Ace. Loved it. Loved the coverage of the chapters and the activities there as well. And for our audience members, all the links that the panelists are sharing, they will also be shared via our newsletter in a follow-up blog post. So you will have an opportunity to look through the resources there as well. So Ace mentioned safe, supportive spaces. I love that, like S3. We can use that further in some of our discussions as well. Bettina, coming back to you, let's say you already told our audience what professional chapters is. Maybe someone didn't know about them, now they do. And the next question that someone may ask, and it was part of a couple of our registration questions as well, how do I just started my career?
Oh no, you're breaking up.
And if there isn't one, then how do I start one with limited to no resources?
Okay, Bushra, I'm gonna assume that you're asking me about how do I know if there's chapters in the area? You broke up a little bit. How do I know if there's a chapter in my area and how do I start one if there isn't?
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes, thank you.
Okay, so there is a page, and I cannot type in the chat, so maybe somebody can help me with this. There's a page on our website with a chapter map on it. Ace, you're a good typist. women.acm.org/chapters/chapter-map. That page at the top has an actual map of all of our chapters. Purple pins for student chapters and red pins for professional chapters. So you can see the chapters in Africa, you can see the chapters in Australia, New Zealand. And that would be the first step for me. I would look at that map and look to see if there was anything around me in the geographic area with a red pin for a professional chapter. But maybe I find an area with a lot of purple pins, a lot of student chapters, but no professional chapter. That sounds to me like a great opportunity to start a chapter in that area. Or maybe I find an area that I know has a lot of people in it, like Los Angeles or New York City or London, places that don't have professional chapters now, but definitely have lots of professional women in computing. Then you should start a chapter. And I want to say it's super easy, but the requirement, the bar to the requirements is low. Sometimes getting all of those requirements can be challenging, but what you need, and you might want to get out your pencils and paper right now, or your bits and bytes. First thing you need is 3 officers. These officers all have to be ACM members. One of those officers should be you. So now you just need to find 2 more friends, and you're almost there. You have 3 officers, and then the rest, you have to add up to 10. You need 10 members altogether. 3 of them are your officers. The other 7 are non-ACM members. They're people that you hang out with, people you have lunch with, people that you've done business with, other women, men, non-binary folks, people from industry, people from academia, folks you went to school with, all sorts of people. Everybody is welcome. We are really about inclusiveness here. So you get your 10 members, you got your 3 officers. The last thing you need is like a mailing address, a name for your chapter, an email address. Those things are almost afterthoughts. You get all those things together and you send in your application. If you have any questions about putting together any pieces of this, if you have questions about a chapter that exists and you want to get connected with them, you want to set up relationships with other chapters, either give me an email or give Ace an email, or actually Wendy, if you're in the Asia Pacific area, or Laura, if you're in North America, give us an email and we will be happy to help you put together everything. We also have a list of resources that we can connect you with.
Awesome. And thank you, Ace, for sharing the link as well. That's great. Excuse me.
Oh, one more thing, Bushra.
Please, go ahead.
It doesn't cost anything to submit an application for a chapter. You don't have to collect dues. This is free-ish, almost totally free.
Thank you for highlighting that, of course, because resources, or at least starting resources, is thing that many people care about. And also thank you for highlighting that chapters welcome men and non-binary folks. So it's important to highlight that that it's an inclusive space that we try to provide to our ACM members. Started getting some audience questions as well, so I'll start to weave those in, especially as we cover similar themes. So one question is, how do you stay given that the tech industry moves so fast, how do you set clear professional goals while still remaining flexible for the opportunities that might come your way? So having goals, but also being open to unexpected opportunities. How shall we do that? How shall we prepare ourselves for that? Any audience members, excuse me, any panelists who might want to take that?
It's difficult. I mean, that's something we've all struggled with throughout. I mean, I feel like when I was teaching, my time was, had so little time, and there's always new stuff being thrown at you. And so at some point, the students come in knowing more than you do about, certain things, just the operating. I think the main thing is you just keep learning. You keep open to learning all the time, right? So you become a life learner. Bettina, you raised your hand, did you?
Yes, thank you for calling on me, Laura.
Yeah.
So I think actually learning what your goals are is an evolution. So the kind of goals that you have when you graduate from college are going to be completely different from the goals that you have after 20 years of experience, and different again from the goals that you're going to have at the end of your career. Some goals are going to be internal goals, and at a different point in your career, they're going to be external goals. I think that, staying in touch with yourself and having that conversation with yourself about what motivates you at a particular point in time, and thinking about moving in a general way towards increasing that in your life, will at least allow you to distinguish between options and doors that are open for you.
Very cool.
I think,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Ace.
I think so too. Oh no, if you're going to
No, I was actually going to call to call on you to say if, on the same theme, is if there are any resources or any other opportunities that you might want to share, please go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. First, I just want to just add one little thing to the previous question. What I always said to myself is, there's this idiom we have in English. It's called, I feel like a fish out of water. Don't be afraid to be a fish out of water, because the truth is, in the end, you'll come back as the shark of the ocean. That's what I always say to my students, especially when I have, now that, for ACMW, I also have students who come to me and they say, I'm so happy to talk to you because I rarely see a female on a panel. And how do you do it? And I say, I don't go up there as, I don't see female, male. I go up there as, hi, I'm Ace. This is my profession. This is my passion. Yes, there was a time when I was a novice. And yes, I felt like a fish out of water. I started lecturing when I was 18 to old people older than me and younger than me. And I felt this whole conundrum of, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? But now I'm here. So in the end, as long as you persevere and you believe in yourself and you don't forget about your support network, like here we are right now, you will become the shark. And you can quote me on this. In fact, drop me an email, or any of us an email anytime. Let us know your stories, because I love to hear and support you anytime. And in terms of resources, tying this in, we have wonderful resources for chapters. For example, I'm going to now share them in the chat for you, and I'm going to just quickly run through them. We have the 101 Ideas for ACMW Chapters Guide. Now, one of my favorite initiatives in this guide is high school students shadowing college students. So that's high school students shadowing university students, given both sides of the pond here for clarification. So what happens is at a young age, especially you will find through my spotlight, and you'll find that chapters are similarly living some of these situations, is that from an early age, there's a lot of barriers, especially, for example, here in the spotlight in Cyprus and even in Kiel, parents come to open days and they say, are you sure this is the right career for my daughter? But never for my son. So if you give this opportunity to shadow, even if male, female, it doesn't matter, everyone, like we said, everyone is welcome for them to shadow. They can actually start, you know, getting to know computing. Maybe they'll go into a different field in computing, you know, early invitation. There's so much ideas. And like we said, you will never feel lost. We are here for you and we are happy to guide you. Just recently, for example, the second link I shared, we actually offer a free web hosting for chapters. You get a web page for your chapter where you get to showcase your initiatives. And most of the time, recently we had a chapter saying, oh, I want to use the website, but I don't have time. So what we did is we asked students voluntarily if they would like to contribute and, you know, help set up this website, computing students. And they loved the idea because they got to get experience on their CV as well. Because industry, academia, we all now live in the world where, hey, you just graduated. Where's your experience? And these chapter ideas also help these students as well. Free. I also shared what Bettina mentioned previously about chapters working together. We have the ACM-W Buddy program where you can work with your local chapter to set up celebrations and everything. For example, Wendy is currently in talks with our Dundee, New Zealand chapter, with the Canberra chapter, and hopefully they're going to bring together a nice little celebration ideas. In fact, how this happened is the other chapter said, you know, I want to help high school students, early intervention. I was like, okay, we have the Canberra chapter, you know, we created the communication, the connection, and now they're communicating and finding out, hey, you have the same problem, I have the same problem. You know, we're just supporting each other and we have many more resources. Like I said, we're just one email away and we are always here for you.
Yeah. Thank you for highlighting that again. And you rightly said that when you talk to people, you realize that, okay, they have the same problems or same issues, or they're thinking about the same things that I am. And going back to the audience question that how do we remain open to unexpected opportunities, I think those connections would help you to figure out those unexpected opportunities. They may no longer be unexpected because you are discussing with other people and they're sharing ideas and what is coming across to them. I do think in a tech industry, which is moving so fast, you have to have a network of people with which you feel comfortable talking to. And ACM Women Student Chapters or ACM Women Professional Chapters do provide you with that kind of a community and support to thrive in. Taking it one more audience question. So it is from a president of an ACM Women Student Chapter. I'll not take the name of the university because I'm not sure if the audience member intended it to. But the question is very, very relevant. Sometimes I struggle with explaining how ACM Women is different from ACM and how everyone, including men, can join as well. Any advice in this regard? How do we make a case for ACM Women separate for ACM, that we offer value, which is in addition or separate from ACM? Go ahead. Bettina, go ahead.
So some universities have both chapters. They have a ACM student chapter and they have an ACM-W student chapter. Some universities only have an ACM-W chapter and some universities only have an ACM chapter. How each university divides things up tends to be sort of individual, but the ACM student chapters, in my experience, tend to be mostly project oriented, where it's a way for students to get together to practice their hackathon skills, to work on their robot competitions, and it's purely a technological or technology type club. ACMW chapters tend to, and again, this is my experience, be broader in nature. Unsurprisingly, the women chapters tend to be more general in nature, and the non-women focused chapters tend to be pretty narrow. So the women chapters might focus on social events, or they might focus on tech talks, or they might do both, or they might work on competitions. They might be very involved in supporting local initiatives to help their community, like recycling PCs for underprivileged communities, or teaching classes in high schools. They tend to be more general in terms of what they work on. It's always with a slightly technical flair, but it may be more connected to the community than the ACM chapters tend to be. I think the ACM chapters tend to be focused on supporting their members. ACMW chapters, in my experience, tend to be more focused on their communities.
So I can also add the Michigan State perspective. So we had a well-established ACM student chapter, but our women's students, there were so few of them, they wanted to have a gathering spot where and actually it started out, the ACMW chapter at Michigan State started out as a reading club. They were reading Unlocking the Clubhouse by Jane Margolis, and they felt that a lot of the information there really resonated with them. And they wanted to have kind of a space where they could network with one another and share experiences. And, so it's just started out with the women. And then as they started doing more and more things, guys got interested in joining, and they were happy to have them join as well. But the idea was always, the focus was on activities to bring the women together, and or just looking at issues relating to women in computing, even though it wasn't exclusive for women, but just, trying to get. So for instance, they started a lean-in group. So I don't know if you're familiar with the lean-in, but that's one of their favorite activities, is that they always do a lean-in meeting at least a few times a semester. They end up holding, they like Bettina said, they like to do things that are service oriented. So they'll have a meeting at the time when students are expected, where undergraduates are expected to sign up for courses. And so they'll offer a meeting where the upper division students will let the lower division students know what our courses are like, and what is the difference between the courses, what makes sense for them to take, what two courses you don't want to take together because they're impossible or whatever. And then they do a lot of outreach to the community in terms of offering coding clubs and things like that. So it kind of mirrors Bettina's experience at the just regular ACM chapter. They tend to more, their meetings are more focused around a topic of, someone will come in and give a talk. A lot of times they'll have somebody from a sponsor, a company, come in and talk about, different opportunities for students in computing careers and things like that. Um, so I don't know if that really tells the difference, but they do coexist side to side.
They coexist, and of course, some of the boundaries are less clear
They
than
do
others,
run
but still,
together.
they go well together, but still a slightly different focus. Computer science program being so busy, how can we encourage attendance to our events without overwhelming our members? And I think we can draw a parallel to professionals as well. With professionals being so busy, how can we encourage attendance without overwhelming the members? Anyone who would like to take that?
I would say that your meetings have to have value, offer them value, right? I mean, that's the key thing. It's you need to identify what's important to them, maybe that they, so if, a talk about the role of AI these days is very popular and very wanted by many people, because they just, the point that was already made is there's just so much new all the time that you need to be teaching yourself. And so, having somebody come in and give a, a summary of what you should know, right, about this new technology can be very useful. Or for students, you know, how about resumes and interviewing skills and stuff? Bettina, I saw, I'm going to call on you again.
Oh.
So,
And then
you know,
Ace.
to add to what Lori's saying, yes, you have to add value. You have the only way that you're going to break through all of the noise is to have something that's interesting to your audience. And one trick that I like is to find a popular speaker in your local area, somebody that has maybe local name recognition, a popular professor from your university or a popular business leader from your your area, and invite them to come in and do a talk. We've in my professional chapter in Central Ohio. Hello, 614 ACMW. We've had people come in from Raspberry Pi to talk about their new microprocessors. We've had people come in from Ohio State to talk about AI research and supporting biodiversity. And we find that we always get a few new members from having these really specific fascinating talks from really interesting people, and that is helpful.
To add to what Bettina said, what I find is there's a very good example of the ACMW Cyprus chapter. I linked their Facebook. You can see what they did is they done a cross institutions collaboration in Cyprus, where different universities came together. So I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Adriani, Josefina, and Dr. Antononi and PhD candidate Dora. They're the leaders. So they came up with conferences. They even have a coding week coming up where they invite, you know, everyone all over, and they invite high school students. They do a lot of engagement. So you can, just because you're ACMW chapter, and other universities may not have a chapter, you can invite them, you know, like Bettina said, you might have a good speaker in another university, and you can encourage supporting network. And when you invite them, it becomes like a thriving network environment. You can actually go through their pictures as well. That's why they have more like 100 attendees and everything. And it becomes a giant network where people meet each other, and it leads on to, hey, you want to come to my conference? Hey, maybe we should do some research together. Hey, let's make a celebration together. So networking is the key, I believe, in these events. So don't be afraid to step out the boundary of your own institution, whether it's professional life or academic life. That's what I would add to it.
Oh, beautifully said. And for networking, I remember reading this quote. I'm sorry, I don't know who it is from, but it said that networking is not like hunting. Networking is like farming. And I loved that. It's not something you do when you need something. It's something you do just because you like people and you want to connect with them. And then, of course, eventually your network pays. I'll continue the discussion, but a brief note for our audience members. I have this very brief 2-minute feedback form that will let me know how you found the discussion and what other topics you would like us to focus on. So if you can please take just a couple of minutes and fill out that form, that will help me and my entire group to provide better value to you. As Laura was saying, value is the word. And again, focusing on value, Bettina, that reminded me that one phrase that we often associate with the ACM-W Professional Chapters is local leadership, global connections. Would you want to share any thoughts on that? Where did that come from, or what does it mean?
Well, I'm often reminded of the bumper sticker that says something like, think global, but act local. And what I kept seeing with the stories that we were getting from ACE's investigative journalism world tour is the local leadership that's happening. And the thing that I like about that profile series is that it's bringing visibility to these people who have felt so isolated in their careers by their geography, and bringing global attention to them. And it's also showing that all of us have these issues in common, and it's opening the opportunity space for us to talk to each other across thousands of kilometers, tens of thousands of kilometers. By the way, 614 ACMW says through me, if you're ever in Ohio, check us out. We'd like to have you come and attend one of our meetings. We're a global organization. We're all about the connections, and I hope that we would be welcome at Kiel or Cyprus or any of the others.
I love that. I love the thought, local leadership, global connections. I think we should print some stickers of that, Bettina, and have it in some of our events as well. Okay.
Stickers. That's what the world turns on, is more stickers.
Yes, car stickers and laptop stickers. We are almost on time, so any final thoughts that my panelists would like to share with the audience? Any advice or any other perspective on ACM Women Professional Chapters? Really, anything. Bettina, let's start from you.
Oh, well, I think that I would like to say, as a person in the United States, I've heard a lot of concern about what's happening in the United States with the dismantling of DEI programs. I was very pleased to see ACM come out in the last day and affirm that they are not going to be taking ACMW down. They're not going to be dismantling their DEI. But I would like to say to everybody in the United States who might be facing a situation where their programs are going away, ACMW is still going to be there. Whether you get the affirmation that you're looking for at work or not, ACMW would like to support and advocate and celebrate you. Please reach out to us. We want to put you in connection with other women in your local area and globally.
Beautiful. Thank you. Laura?
Just add to it the importance of the friends that you make as being part of that. So one of the most I love going to the ACMW or NCWIT or any of those conferences because of the wonderful people that I get to be with and have come to know through all those connections. So I'll leave
Beautiful.
it there for Ace.
Ace.
Well, my colleagues have summarized most of it. So I want to take this chance to say a quote from our upcoming spotlight in Cyprus. And this is from the joint quote from all the leaders. So whether you're a seasoned tech professional or just beginning to explore your interest in computing, we invite you to join us. Together, we can break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and build a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive in the exciting world of technology. Because as we said at ACMW, everyone is welcome.
Wow.
And I also,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
Please go ahead.
I was just going to say that other than our emails, I'm very active on LinkedIn. And I also, if you have stories to share, and we're more than happy to listen to you, or if you can't, we have different communication channels, our emails, LinkedIn, and everything. Yeah, with the quote, sorry.
No, thank you for sharing that. And our LinkedIn addresses, of course, are part of the Zoom invite as well. And you can search us, and we have, of course, our email addresses on the ACM Women Contacts page as well. Well, thank you, everyone, for being with us for the last hour. Thank you, panelists, for sharing such good advice and insights. And I love your all individual stories. Thank you for giving us like a three-dimensional view of you as a professional, as a human being. Thank you. For whoever is listening, our audience members or people who are watching this on YouTube later on, as I said, the goal of these series is to provide career coaching and leadership advice to students and early career professionals. We have had sessions in the past, such as on generative AI, on quantum computing, on robotics, and then also career topics like how to join workforce after taking a break, how to cater to the mental well-being and others. So any ideas that you have, any topics that you would like us to cover, please share the ideas either via our email or via the feedback form that I have shared, and we'll make sure to keep trying to provide value to you. Thank you so much once again, and yeah, see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
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 Bye.